In today's video, we are going to be teaching you how to hit your driver just like that shot, and we're going to do it with 3 simple tips. Now, when it comes to driving the golf ball, everyone looks for one key factor: distance, because that's what the big dog is meant to do. There is a saying, it's time to let the big dog eat. And what that means is it's time to get the driver out and send it as far out there as possible, because that's what it's built for. So tip number 1 in how to hit your driver, we need to think like one of the best drivers in the world. And one of the best drivers in the world is Rory Mcilroy. When you think of Rory Mcilroy, you think of these massive 300+ yard drives. Now, we're not going to be able to increase your distance that much today, but we're going to get you on your way. So when you think of Rory Mcilroy, what do you see and what does he do and what stands out about his drives? It's the height and the angle they take off on. So tip number 1 is how to correctly attack the ball. So like always, I always practice with a proper correct setup. So if you've checked out my previous videos in the past, you'll know that I'm very key on driver setup. Driver setup should be very, very good like so. And what I like to do is have a shaft here to actually tell me where the driver or the ball needs to sit. So tip number 1 is all about the launch and how to actually correctly attack the driver. So as we know, McIlroy hits the ball so high and sends it straight to the sky. That is because when he attacks the golf ball, he attacks it very much on the up, like so. So instead of most people attacking it down and smashing it into the ground, he attacks the ball very much on the up and sweeps it up into the air, helping that out. So my tip number 1 is to learn to do that. So what you want to do, you want to set up, and just for this, just take your driver slightly behind the ball, slightly a little bit further behind the ball than you would. Now, most people, again, would put their club right up to it, even touch it sometimes. What I'm going to ask you to do here is just put it a couple of inches behind the ball, and then when you go to attack it, sweep up and almost try and just pick it off the tee, okay? So if almost like you don't want to touch any grass, and it should look like this. Perfect. It's key to remember though, when you do this, you don't want to hang back and get the club going like that. You still want to be turning and moving forward, but making sure the club is on its way up. Let's look at it from down the line. So for example, for this one, I'm not going to try and sweep the ball off the tee. I'm actually going to try and hit it into the ground and see what happens with the shot. So, do you see what happened there? It went straight left, very pulled, ball went down and up, a very spinny looking shot. Would actually take distance off your drive. So now let me show you what it looks like when you attack it correctly. So now we're going to set up the same, and we're just going to move the club slightly further back and then aim to sweep the ball off the tee. And let's see the difference, shall we? And look at that. The ball has gone so straight, so high, carried 250 into the wind. That, I must say, is pretty decent. So make sure the angle of attack is on the way up, not into the ground, on the way up. So tip number 2 is actually stance. And when I say stance, I'm not going to tell you to bend over more, stand up taller. All I'm going to tell you to do is give yourself a good base to hit from. And what I mean by that is a good solid base that allows you to turn and really go at the ball. Because you want to be able to hit the ball long, you want to be able to hit it straight, you're going to need to be able to move your body pretty fast. So there's one good drill that's really good for this. So if you put your feet together and you swing a golf club and you try and swing as hard as you can, you start to get very off balance very quickly, right? And that's not what we want to do in our golf swing. So most people usually go shoulder width apart. I like to go a little bit more, just give myself that nice strong base. And then what you need to do is take a few practice swings and try and feel how stable you are. If you feel stable, you should be in a good position. Now, you can obviously go too far one way, and that becomes, now I'm so wide, I actually can't turn as much. So there is a fine balance, so you do have to find that. So again, once you find that balance, what you're going to do is you're going to grab 2 T-pegs. So for me, I feel pretty comfortable here. I'm going to put a T-peg down here and a T-peg down here. Now what this is going to allow me to do is come back and replicate that position every single time I practice my driver. And this is going to allow me to have a base where I should be able to go at it as hard as I want and be able to control it. So let's see if this is the right stance for me. Still going to sweep it as well. And look at that. I mean, you can't see the ball, but did you see how compact and sturdy my body was? It didn't matter how hard I was going to hit that. It allowed me to hit it, but stay in control. It kept my body still. It kept everything just controlled enough to be able to unleash that power. So when you're next practicing, please follow the steps. Put the T-pegs down, feel comfortable. Just get that stance a little bit wider, not too wide, but also not too shallow. So again, feet together, swing back. Oh, I'm off balance. Then just slowly, casually move 1 foot back, still a bit too small, maybe 1 foot forward. Perfect. Tip number 2, put the groundwork in, all right? So tip number 3, wanting to hit your driver longer, is to make sure that your swing allows you to hit the ball longer. So we all know in a golf swing that the more shallow and the more steep you get, the less width there is between your hand, your body and the club head. And what that means is there's not enough room to move, you get very congested and you can't put full power into it. The way people hit the ball long is nice and wide, getting that club head as far away from their chest as possible. Width creates speed, speed creates distance. So what are we going to do here? What we're going to do is when we actually hit the driver, we're going to make sure that we keep the club away from us, but we also, on the way through, we do the same. Most people you find, when they hit a driver, they get congested and they get really short and a very small follow through. That's not what we want. We want a big, complete follow through, allowing all that power to generate through the golf ball, and as you turn out, release with the golf ball. So what we're going to try and do here is when we swing the club head's going to be as far away from us as possible. And on the way through, we're going to push the club head again as far away from us as possible, giving us maximum reach, almost straightening our arms the whole way on the way through. Should look something like this. And just like that, the ball has gone so far. That was actually the best one I've hit out the lot. But the idea was, I'll show you from down the line in a minute, is to keep them arms really extended, allow as much width as possible. It's going to be tricky, this one, but if you can get it right, you'll start to hit the ball a lot longer. So we've got our setup. We know that we're going to have a bit of a wider stance. We know that we're going to sweep the club off the tee, and we know that we're going to extend the arms as much as possible. So it should end up looking something a little bit like this. Yep, we love that. We love that. We absolutely love that. Now it's also key to remember that when you do the last tip and keep your arms long, that your body turns with it. Because if you just start to keep your arms long and just try and force your arms out, you're going to start to pull the ball straight left. So again, one key tip or key area to pay attention on, when you're really trying to release the club and make sure your arms go long, make sure the body is turning and let the arms follow, but keep them extended, like so. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's video. If you have enjoyed today's video, please smash the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, turn that notification bell on. Hopefully I'll be back on the golf course very soon. I've had a very bad back the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been able to get out there. So apologies for that, but we will be getting back on the golf course very soon. So again, Videos are uploaded every day at 7 p.m. GMT, so make sure you've got a notification bell on so you don't miss a single tip video, trick video, or just a pure fun video. And as always, everyone, stay chopping.